I have not made it a secret that I am not a big fan of XAntibody Digimon, so why not add more fuel to that fire? Today I'm going to be talking about my 10 least favourite XAntibody Digimon.
Hey, come on! Call EX.
What is up, everybody? It has been a while since I talked about something I don't like in Digimon, so why not just dive headfirst into XAntibody? This has been requested by a few people in the comments, so I'm doing it for you. Don't get mad at me. Don't worry, next week I'm going to talk about my 10 favourite XAntibody Digimon and try not to talk about XAntibody carriers too much. But this list is the top 10 least favourite, and let's start with number 10. Number 10 is Gilmon X. Now, this isn't a terrible design, but it's really badly drawn. The official art for Gilmon X is pretty low standard. I really hate drawing comparisons constantly between Pokemon and Digimon, but people always say that Mega Evolution was like when Digimon evolved to Mega, but I actually think it was closer to XAntibody, the way that existing Digimon got enhanced forms. So if this is like Mega Gilmon or Gilmon X, it's not a really good design. It's not a great foot forward. It reminds me of, if you ever got the Action Replay in the UK, I don't know if it had it so much in America or the rest of the world, but they would have copyright legal versions of the Pokemon on the boxes, like Kyogre and Groudon. And this reminds me of like an Action Replay Gilmon, like not quite Gilmon, close enough that you know what it's meant to be, but not close enough to infringe copyright, and that's why I don't like it. It looks fake. In at number 9 is Haguramon X, and just, again, bringing Pokemon to this very briefly, you know how Pokemon fans always say like over-designed trash? This is over-designed trash. I just don't get the point of Haguramon X. The X-Antibody is supposed to kind of boost them up, right? I get that. I like what they're doing with the X-Antibody in the current anime, where it's not the X-Antibody, but where they're borrowing some designs from Greymon or Metal Greymon X to do things with the Dark Miasma. Haguramon X just looks like an evolution. It looks like instead of going to Gardramon or Clockmon, it went to this thing. It's like the Kling Clang of the Haguramon line. It's just not good. It doesn't look like a rookie anymore, and it just, if it's supposed to be a rookie or even as a champion, it just doesn't work. It's super over designed. The kind of beauty of Haguramon is this simple little cog and gear setup. So to make that be this big drill thing, it just, get it in the bin. I don't know if I'm going to use it for this video, but hello, second camera. Next up on the list is Newman X, and this is the definition of you can't polish a turd. Part of me almost likes Newman X, right? Because of the sheer balls, the cojones they had to have to try and make this into an X-Antibody Digimon. The X eye stalks is like so on the nose, and there's an almost, like I say, there's almost a charm to it, but ultimately it just looks terrible. This sort of beastier version, more evil version of Newman is neat, but it just doesn't come together for me. The extra little Numemons popping off it, it's just so dumb. It like multiplying, it going through mitosis. I just, my biggest criticism of the X-Antibody is that it feels like it's the Ow the Edge Hot Topic version of existing Digimon, and yeah, this is the Ow the Edge Hot Topic version of Newman. What if Newman had spiky teeth and an X for an eye stalk, and it was like making copies of itself? Like, get it in the bin. In at number 7 is Tokomon X, and I dislike this Digimon for a different reason. So far, my problem has been that the designs don't add anything, or they look fake, or something like that. I actually really like the design of Tokomon X, but it should be a rookie. Tokomon X as an in-training or baby 2 just doesn't work. It's too over-designed, literally. This looks like it should be an unseen rookie Digimon to go along with like Patamon, Lopmon, and Teriumon, you know? This honestly should have been like a tri-Digimon, like how we got Mekumon to match up with Gatomon. We should have had Tokomon X be its own Digimon called whatever, and this should have been like a rookie for Patamon to kind of be friends with, maybe a light to Mekumon's dark. I actually incredibly like this design, but it just doesn't work as an in-training. You put it up against all the other in-trainings and they're more basic. This thing is fully formed. It's a rookie, like in all but name. That's what's so disappointing about it. You don't need to over-design in-training forms. That's their whole point. They're baby 2 electric boogaloo. They are not rookies or children. Number 6 on the list is a worse offender version of Gilmon X, Salamon X. Normally I waffle on, I talk ad nauseum about these, but Just fucking look at it. I mean, no disrespect. Who was paid to draw this? Was it a child? Was it a child? It was a child, fair enough. Maybe stop hiring children, but In at number 5, the midpoint on the list is Rosemont X. And there's a reason it's the middle of the list, because it's really mid. Some XAntibody are over-designed, some are fake-looking. What changed here? Like, if you showed me a picture of Rosemont X, now I know there's probably going to be some, oh, well, actually, I know the difference between all 1,400 and shut up. If you showed me a picture of Rosemont X, I would not immediately assume that was an XAntibody. I go, oh, that's Rosemont, someone's drawn Rosemont. There are very clearly differences here, but like, not that many. Like, this looks more like a variant of Rosemont, like a dark Rosemont, maybe, than an XAntibody. Like, what's the point here? Who took the day off and went, just make the cape black? In at number 4 is XAntibody Gabumon, and the reason this is so low on the list, despite not looking perhaps that bad, is first of all, it was the first XAntibody Digimon I ever saw. Discovering about this, trawling the internet for Digimon content, and I went, oh. This to me is the epitome of the XAntibody. While yes, there can be good designs for the XAntibody, ultimately I just look at XAntibody versions and go, oh, so it's the thing I know, but more depressed. This looks like a Gabumon with mange. This looks like a Gabumon that needs to go see a vet immediately. I like the elongated claw on the left hand, but other than that, it really just doesn't do much. The kind of Auron from Final Fantasy X vibe with one hand out of the coat, there's no need for it with Gabumon. It contributes so little other than making Gabumon look a little angrier that I just really can't fathom why anyone would like this more than regular Gabumon, or what it really adds to Gabumon. Again, over-designing, over-complicating for very little reason. In at number 3 on the list is Watto from the Phantom Menace. Sorry, I mean Vadermon X. Ah, little Annie! Vadermon X debuted in 2003, so someone had very clearly seen the Phantom Menace by this point. If it wasn't inspired by Watto, I will be incredibly surprised. Like, yeah, I guess the Snorks existed before Watto, and it does have a Snorks vibe too, I don't know. I'm not saying they copied George Lucas's homework, but it's all I can see. Chance cubes. And that's honestly why I don't like Vadermon X. Again, it doesn't improve on Vadermon at all. It just looks like a scummier version, and it just looks like Watto. I don't need to be reminded of the Phantom Menace at the best of times, let alone when I'm trying to enjoy my Digimon content. My number 2 pick ties into my number 1 pick, so I'll talk about number 2 and then number 1. But number 2 is Teriumon X. One of my absolute favourite Digimon of all time. Thank God Wormmon doesn't have an X-Antibody form. And it is just butchered. What is the point? Making it more angelic? Oh, yes, but it looks terrible. It looks like an unskinned chicken. Looks like they were trying to pluck a chicken, the chicken came back to life and fucking flew away. Like, I'm Teriumon! The feathers and the elongated horn doesn't work for me. The long arms is fine. But then this sort of regal insignia randomly on one arm, I just don't care for at all. And the elongated tail at the back is also very strange. But a good design doesn't improve on Teriumon, has that huge bootleg vibe. Honestly, if I'd not seen Teriumon, I wouldn't want this Digimon. That's the worst crime that an X-Antibody can commit. If it was to be my first exposure to that breed of Digimon, would I like the Digimon? And frankly, no. If I saw Teriumon, love Teriumon. If I see Teriumon X, pass. And because of that, if let's just assume Khan in the past had never seen the original Teriumon and saw X-Teriumon first, I might have completely missed out on one of my favourite Digimon just because a variant looked so bad to me. And that's what brings me to number 1. My absolute least favourite X-Antibody Digimon, Lopmon X. It has all the exact same problems as Teriumon X, except it's one of my favourite Digimon of all time, even higher than Teriumon, just slightly. The beauty of Lopmon is that its cuteness is simplistic. Its potential to grow and become stronger is very innate in its design. It's small, but it packs a punch. Its appearance in Tamers in particular, because you knew it came from that Antilamon Deva, you can feel its cuteness, but also its kind of anger and willingness to fight seething from the bottom inside of it. So this overly cutesy, like, oh, I'm flying, I'm a cotton puff Lopmon is just, it's too much, it's too sweet, it's it's too saccharine, too much of a good thing becomes bad, you know. One little slice of cake, lovely. A whole cake to yourself? Even Fat Boy is gonna get too much sugar at that point. And that's the problem with Lopmon X to me. Again, same with Teriumon X. If I'd have seen Lopmon X as my first exposure to the Lopmon line, it could potentially have ruined Lopmon to me forever. If you design something which at first glance just seems to be a kind of not as great version of the original, that's one thing. You're potentially harming someone else's experience, and that's why ultimately I don't like Lopmon X. Anyway, that was my 10 least favourite X-Antibody Digimon. I tried to keep it reasonably calm. None of them make me incredibly angry, and I should say that I don't think these are the worst designs ever. They're just not very good. They don't enhance anything from the original. But next week, I am going to talk about my top 10 favourite X-Antibody Digimon. I'm going to keep myself to just one carrier Digimon, okay? Although I'm pretty sure all of you by this point know which X-Antibody carrier I love the most. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want to. Again, liking helps so much. Obviously, subscribing helps. You can always unsubscribe if you don't like the content in the future. Please don't be angry about this. This is just my personal opinion. I'm not stating objective fact, but let me know down below if you have any thoughts about this. Do you disagree? Politely? Do you agree? Are there other X-Antibody Digimon you cannot stand? Let me know. And until next week, well actually, I'll see you on Saturday for a different video, but come back on Tuesday for my video on my most favourite X-Antibody Digimon. Until then, let's go digital.